This story is probably not as big a deal as many people might want to make it. What happened is, well, according to Fox News, anti-ICE protesters pull down American flag, raise Mexico flag, vandalize Blue Lives Matter flag. The reason I say it's probably not as big as many people would make it is that this isn't an organized effort by, say, the Mexican government to conquer a piece of American land and raise their flag above American soil in victory. What it is a bunch of activists, probably with no plan, and some people decided to put up the Mexican flag. However, it still is a story, and it's important for one reason. I don't think this is a symbol of like an invasion. You're gonna get a lot of right-wing commentators being like, "Oh, it's an invasion." They say this a lot. I disagree. It's activists and probably one or two people who just did this because they thought it was funny. Like they wanted to do it. Not that it was funny, but it was like, "Ooh, we're gonna do this." Most of them probably didn't think twice. But what this is, it's a symbol to Americans that there is some kind of lawlessness and disdain for this country. We are seeing people actually take down the American flag, vandalize a Blue Lives Matter flag, and later, I believe it may have been ICE agents had to put the flag back up. That means something to people who care about this country, that care about the flag. It means that there are people in this country who are protesting for the dissolution of immigration enforcement, and they would disrespect the American flag. Now, you might be some urban city liberal who says, yeah, whatever, they took the flag down. But rest assured, there are many Americans who are hearing these debates, who are watching the Democrats say we're going to give health care to illegal immigrants, and then people actually stringing up Mexican flags at our federal facilities. Fighting a sneeze. Give me a second. Before we move on, and in case I sneeze, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, and a physical address. But of course, the best thing you can do, share this video. And I mean that wholeheartedly. YouTube no longer suggests independent creators. They recommend them sometimes, but suggestions are gone, which means after this video, you're likely going to get Fox News, CNN, or MSNBC. So long as you who watch share it, we'll be unstoppable. I mean, sort of. Little hyperbole, but if you like it, share it. Let's read the story. Authorities in Colorado restored an American flag to its place Friday evening after protesters demonstrating outside a U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement facility pulled down the Star-Spangled Banner and flew the flag of Mexico in its place. The protesters also removed a Blue Lives Matter flag honoring law enforcement, spray-painted it with the words "Abolish ICE," and then raised the flag upside down on a pole next to the Mexican flag, according to local media. This is significant because there are going to be people in this country who are probably apolitical, not activated, moderate, maybe voted Democrat most of their lives, and they just saw the flag of their nation replaced with a flag of a different country. Okay? You have to understand, people react based on symbols and feelings, less so on facts. Unfortunately, people, especially Democrats, talk about how they feel some things should be and how they feel certain things should be right. Now, of course, saying you feel a certain way could be synonymous with saying you think a certain way. And I've got a ton of people saying, Tim, stop saying you feel a certain way, say you think a certain way. And it's like, that's not what I'm trying to say. I get it. It's a turn of phrase. What I'm saying is there are literally people who will look at Ocasio-Cortez's sad face and vote for her based on nothing else, just her sad expression. They feel something. It doesn't matter what the policy is. Well, I assure you the same is true for many people in the middle and on the right who feel scared when a massive group of people take down the American flag and replace it with the flag of Mexico, all the while they're hearing rhetoric about an invasion and mass migrant caravans and calls for securing the border and Democrats obstructing. I assure you, removing the American flag is going to scare many people in this country. And the more I see this, and the more I see the Democrats refusing to denounce this, but actually getting on board with the far left rhetoric and nonsense, I'm resigned to Trump winning again. It's a foregone conclusion as far as I'm concerned. Now, look, I hate making predictions because you would be a fool if you're a Trump supporter and you think Trump's got this one 100% in the bag. Arrogance. That was the downfall of Hillary Clinton, who didn't campaign in the blue wall states thinking she got this one. Trump can never win. And she lost. So all I can really say is, while this is a symbol which will shock many Americans, I don't think it's like, it's not it's like the Mexican government trying to take over land. It's just activists being disrespectful. But this will shock many people. I think Trump is on track for a victory. But if people get complacent, he will lose. You know, he had a lot of advantages in 2016. He may not have those advantages anymore, so it's hard to say, but his approval rating is higher than it's ever been, according to the Washington Post and ABC News. Though the aggregate does have him at some of the highest points in his presidency, not the highest. His highest was just after inauguration. So technically, yes, in the past 2 years, he's higher than ever, which says to me, if this stuff keeps happening, the Democrats are fighting on Twitter. It's insane. Promising health care to illegal immigrants. Let me tell you this. Obama promised, pull this up. I'm not kidding. You can Google search this. Obama promised in 2007, I believe it was, at the end of his first term, he would sign into law universal health care. Guess what we got instead? Private mandate, in the individual mandate to buy private insurance. That's the worst thing that could have happened, in my opinion. As a liberty-minded person who does think we need a public healthcare system of some sort, gradually getting to a position where we can provide healthcare to everybody, not illegal immigrants, I think Obama did bad. I think the public, the individual mandate was just forcing people to buy things they couldn't necessarily afford. It solved nothing. Did he get a universal healthcare in place? He didn't. He didn't even get a public option. I think a public option could work just fine. People buy into a government to Medicare or something like that. Instead, we got an inversion, some kind of like neoliberal right-wing corporate solution where the government forces you to buy from a private company. Anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent on that. The point I'm trying to make is, how did we get from Obama saying we will have universal health care, couldn't do it in 2 terms, sorry, to the Democrats being like, well, let's just jump the shark and go straight to giving government health care to illegal immigrants. We couldn't even get it for Americans. And now you're promising it to people who are non-citizens? Now we're seeing flags of a foreign country raised above ICE facilities? Oh, man, it's just like... the story I'm preparing for 4 p.m., so probably the segment you heard before this, is going to deal with this. So let's read on about this flag. They say, hundreds of protesters gathered in Aurora, Colorado, outside the federal facility that holds illegal immigrants to protest ICE raids scheduled to begin Sunday in Denver and other major U.S. cities. Aurora Police Chief Nick Met said the majority of protesters remained peaceful, and some even thanked officers for their evening efforts. The protest, part of a network of Lights for Liberty events, also dubbed the March to Close Concentration Camps, called for the detention centers at the U.S.-Mexico border to be closed and for all immigrants being held in those locations to be granted entry to the U.S., according to the event's Facebook page. So we have some tweets from, this one's from Matt Muro. We have Jacqueline Allen reporting, the American flag flies once again outside Aurora ICE facility. Tonight, we witnessed the best of Aurora during the peaceful Lights for Liberty demonstration. Thank you to everyone who remained peaceful and took the time to thank my cops, and thank you to all the officers who were there to ensure everyone's safety. Fox News writes, beginning Sunday, ICE agents will reportedly work to round up thousands of illegal immigrants across the U.S. President Trump delayed the operation by 2 weeks to allow Democrats to propose a bipartisan solution to the humanitarian crisis at the border. Speaking to Fox News during his visit to the border Friday, Vice President Mike Pence said the upcoming ICE raids will not be done at random and will be focused on removing those deported by courts. So what's interesting here is we have law. It's been the law for nearly 100 years. If you come into this country without going through a port of entry, that's an illegal entry. You will then go through a court procedure to which you'll receive a final order to be deported. And then if you don't leave, you will be deported by force. They will come, they will arrest you, and they will remove you. It's actually kind of, methodical. That's what just happened for nearly a century. But all of a sudden, the Democrats are upset about it. They supported Obama. Obama deported, I think, 3 million. They called him deporter in chief. But here we are now with outrage from the Democrats, and it's quite simple. Twitterati. The woke Twitterati is spinning themselves into a web of insanity. There's a phenomenon that I noticed when I was younger between a small pocket of individuals who isolate themselves and how they rile themselves up, spinning into a fervor. There were a few people I knew. It was 3 people, and they were roommates, and they only spent time with themselves. One day, like, one of them got mad at some other kid in the neighborhood and started talking smack. So the other 2 friends started laughing and joining in. Within a week, they literally hated this guy and were like threatening violence against him because nonstop all day, every day, they were talking about how much they hated him because it was like a social bonding thing. They were laughing about it, so they wanted to be involved and wanted to have the community, and they riled themselves up to where this other person was like, I have no idea why they're so mad. They were isolated and spiraling out of control. That's what's happening with many Democrats. They're watching woke Twitter. They're pandering to the insanity. They're joining in. And regular people are sitting back going, what is happening? But again, I'm going to save this for later today. Fox News writes, besides Denver, the raids were expected to take place in Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and San Francisco. Raids scheduled for New Orleans may be delayed due to the tropical storm. Other Lights for Liberty protests took place across the U.S. Friday, including in San Isidro, California, Portland, Oregon, and New York City. So basically, let me say this. Let me add something. In I believe it may have been 2015 or 16. It was during the Trump campaign. I was covering his rallies. I would frequently hear people chant things like "Make California Mexico Again," and people laughed and thought it was funny. Now we're moving on to the point where not only are the migrant caravans marching to the U.S. waving the banners of their home countries, which is strange if you're trying to come to the U.S. I'd think so. But they're actually now taking down the American flag to fly the flag of a different country. They march through the streets with the flag of a different country. And I got to say, free speech, by all means, wave the flag of a different country. That's fine. But recognize this is going to cause a massive backlash against the left for embracing this, because regular Americans and liberals, Democrats, conservatives, Republicans alike, there are regular people who are not woke on Twitter who are going to be like, oh my God, maybe Fox News was right. You know, Fox News has called out the migrant caravans waving the flags of a foreign country marching to the U.S., and there have been people repeatedly calling it an invasion. What do you think middle Americans who don't pay attention are going to think when they hear the rhetoric from Fox News about an invasion and then see someone literally raise the Mexican flag over a federal facility? It's not going to end well, Democrats, and they need to announce this stuff, but they won't do it. They're pandering to the wokest of the woke to try and win the primary, and they're not going to be able to walk it back. I'll leave it there. Stick around. More videos to come. Next one will be at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all there.